Alrighty, let's make sure. I might be streaming into the void today. Oh, no, we're good. Alright, well, I don't know if this is actually going out, but I'm recording, so just in case. Okay, oh, I got chat up. Alright. There we go. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of basically just creature mutation, body horror. You can get as Cronenberg or as who else? Carpenter, or the Substance, Farjat, as you want with it. But let's get started. I sent over these bodies from Reallusion. If you kind of want to follow along, I do have on my YouTube channel. Actually, I'll go ahead and post this right now. On my YouTube channel here, if you go in here to playlists, there is actually just go to the home page. There should be, if you scroll down, character creator, body stuff, and posing your ZBrush assets, as well as on my ArtStation page. I'll go ahead and post that here. Here's some more resources. Reallusion character creator tab of just using a body-based mesh and going and animating. So I don't know that we're going to animate today, but the wild noodlers, how's it going? Let me see. Okay, so we got our body sent over. Animator 99. Hey, everybody. So basically all we have is a base body mesh and then a bunch of other stuff that we're not going to concern ourselves with just yet. Although we do got okay, anyway. So we'll start here, and I'm going to try to go through 3 phases really quickly of, like, say, a body mutation that may happen. I don't want to do any spoilery stuff, so I'm just going to keep it kind of generic. Now, let's see. And in this case, unfortunately, probably not a lot of Symmetry would be going on, and probably won't be going on, which is going to kind of burn some time. But I'm going to keep it on for a little bit, so you can just tap X on your keyboard. That'll turn on Activate Symmetry across the X-axis. And yeah, we'll do a little bit of creature work. And so I'm going to go through here, and I've got some reference up, but again, we don't have to be beholden to it too much. But we're going to kind of age the body. And I'm going to start low, so we got geometry. It's not divided yet. So probably what you don't want to do, actually, let's go in here. I'm going to hold down Shift and turn off this eyeball, so we just got the body showing. And I'm going to hold down Shift and also turn down my Z intensity. By default, my smooth brush modifier is set to, if I hold down Shift, oh, actually, it's not. I'm going to do that. I'm going to hold down Shift, change my weighted smooth mode to 1 so that my smooth brush is always a smooth weighted mode of 1. And then if I keep holding down Shift and go to Brush Save As, I'm going to throw this into my C program files, Max on ZBrush 2025. What is it? Z data. I'm going to go ahead and delete this brush presets out of here, and I'm going to take this brush presets. This is what installs with ZBrush. Control C, Control V. So I always have it to go back to, because if I don't, I have to reinstall ZBrush. I'm going to go in here to brush presets, and I'm going to save over my smooth brush, LMNOPQRS. So there's the smooth. So every time I start up ZBrush, my smooth brush will have weighted smooth mode set to 1. That's just smooth stronger, so I need to go up here and hold down Shift and turn that Z intensity down. Now, I did, I guess, do a recent install, so 2025.1.1 is installed. That means I got to go in here to brush. I have a brush from, let me show you because this will be relevant. We're going to go to, actually, let me open up my ZBrush Miro board. Give me just a second. But, let's see, ZBrush Masters. I'm going to go to the ZBrush Masters playlist. We're going to use some reference here. So if you Google ZBrush Masters, ZBrush Live. Oh, complete series. There it was. This one. So here on YouTube, there's a ZBrush Masters playlist. I'll go ahead and link it to you. Oh yeah, so the Wild Noodles brings up a good point. We saved over our default smooth. Now, if you just want to sit, like if you want to keep your smooth brush, or in my case, if I hit B, you're going to see I have some extra Z modeler brushes in here, a move brush with Acu turned on. So I still have my regular move brush, and then I have an extra type of move brush with Acu turned on, with Acu curve turned on. Basically, if I go to my move brush and I go in here to curve, You can see AccuCurve isn't turned on. However, I have another brush that loads with ZBrush that has AccuCurve turned on. So in that case, if you don't want to overwrite your move brush, you just want another type of move brush that shows up every time you start up ZBrush, that's when you'll go ahead and take your move brush, clone it off, go and select it, make all the changes you want. And then for this one, for example, I'll go in here to Brush Save As, and you're going to throw that one into so Program Files, ZBrush 2025, Z Startup, Brush Presets. Anything you throw in here will load up. So for example, we're going to be using the GeoSoft Forms brush, the Damn Standard 02, and I think just those two probably for creature sculpting. So those are going to be loaded up, and that way I can assign a hotkey to them. So you can see this one's assigned to Alt X, and then Move Acu is assigned to Alt V, and then Alt Z is my Damn Standard 02. So just quick, easy access. They always show up with ZBrush, but they're not overwriting a pre-existing default brush. Anyway, now we also have in here in ZBrush Masters, like I would watch all of these, but we're going to look at Geo's in particular, and then also Magdalena. And speaking of her, she, in that live stream, they link to, let me see, her brushes, and I like her clay tubes. So what I'm going to do is load up that clay tubes, and I'm going to go into, I'm going to use clay buildup and clay tubes while I'm creature sculpting. But for this clay tubes, I'm going to overwrite my default again. So again, with this one loaded up, yeah, I'm going to say Brush Save As, and then one more time we're going to head back to ZData, Brush Presets, look for clay tubes here. And if you ever mess anything up, just remember, if you go in here to your brush presets, you always have your copy of your brush presets. So you can go in here and copy these back into your other folder. But now every time I start up ZBrush, that clay tubes will be assigned to Alt B, although right now it's assigned to clay buildup, but here's clay tubes. So between these two, I'm going to kind of switch back and forth depending on the type of buildup that I want to do. What new features of 2025 other than rendering? There was an, oh, you know what? I got a board on that. And I got some videos coming out soon. So Redshift original notes. So mostly it is Redshift. So there's all my Redshift notes. That's coming out soon. And then also 2025. There was, oh, the quick Polygroup brush we can talk about. Anchor brush bend mode we can talk about. Lightbox professional projects, and then it looks like Redshift. Anchor brush update. AOVs and denoiser, that's Redshift, kind of. Render passes anyways, and then Redshift. Okay, yeah, so you know, we can talk about this. So quick Polygroup brush will come in handy. This Reallusion mesh that I sent over comes with its own polygroups. But let's go over here. I'm going to do skin shader so you can see a little bit better. I have X Symmetry turned on, so if I go in here to BP, so B on my keyboard to load all my brushes, P to go to, what is it? Brush, where's the hand? I don't remember what it's called, sorry. Quick Polygroup, BQ. So B to bring up your brush menu, Q to narrow it down to all the brushes start with Q. In this case, it's just one, and then you can hit P to grab the quick Polygroup brush. If your brush size is really small by default, if you just tap on your mesh, it's not going to do anything. However, if you make your brush size bigger, that's going to make it so that it can see the volumes a little bit better, I guess. And then you can just go in here and just tap, and it'll go ahead and auto polygroup for you. So right now I only have a polygroup for, you know, the entire arm, but let's say I wanted to get a little bit more granular. I can go in here to the elbow, to the wrist, and then when we get down here to the hand, it's gonna, oh, now I got 2 fingers. Just make your brush size smaller so it's not taking into account larger volumes, and then you can just go through here and just tap through. So we can say, give me the thumb here, oops, and then give me, and sometimes it's kind of hard to see. You can just Control Shift Tap, Control W to assign a new polygroup. So we'll go through here on the knuckle. Let's go here on the knuckle, and let's go here on the lower knuckle here. There you go. So this is a lot faster than going through and masking or visibility and hiding and stuff like that. I want to say the Anchor brush, BA. So here's Anchor's Classic. I think that's just what we're used to. In fact, again, if you, speaking of, go to my YouTube channel link I posted earlier. You know, this is probably a good one. If you're new to ZBrush, you want to catch up or, you know, get reacquainted. You've been away for a while. Here's a list that'll get you up and running in ZBrush. And then also in here, there's a what's new. Here's ZBrush what's new playlist in here. Also on my ArtStation page under ZBrush, it might be a little bit easier to peruse. But anchor brushes, gosh, I don't even remember which one that was. I think that was 2022. Was it 2023? Anchor. Anyway, you can go and find where the anchor brush originally showed up, and you can go through it. These are all just what's new. You know, all the features that came out in ZBrush will be posted in there. So we'll go ahead and relink that. So we got anchors in here, and this one has a bend deformer. These are pretty cool. So if I hit, you know, so again, B-A-N to get the new anchors brush. We're going to click here on the knee and then click here on the ankle. And then I like we'll actually probably use this. I'll use this inflate here. And by default, the focal shift is set to 100. So if I click and drag here, it's going to inflate the feet. If I undo that, and then I set the anchor from the knee to the ankle, and we say focal shift of -100, and then drag down here, it's going to scale everything else up and leave this alone. I explain it better in my YouTube videos. But the really cool one, not that they're not all cool in their own unique way, but I can go in here to focal shift of 0, and that'll put most of the influence right here in the middle. So here you can see it's going to kind of inflate between the two. So yeah, we're definitely going to use this for some of our creature stuff. Nice. I'm glad. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, and then the other one too was bend. I think that's just instead of a rotate. I mean, I just show you right now. I wouldn't do this for rotating a knee, but you know, instead of rotating like this, where it kind of makes a circle, you can do a bend deformer. Let me see. It's actually haven't used this a bunch, but let's see. Bend here. No. Well, let's put them close together. Let's say. Also, you can hold down Alt and get rid of anchors. So I'm going to go here and here to bend the knee. If I do a rotate here, what's going on? Here, here, rotate. Oh, my focal shift's set it to 100. Okay, there we go. So here, if I do a rotate and I go here and here and just kind of rotate, it's kind of rotating around a point. It's not, you could fix it, but bend will do more of a fold. So if you go here and then here, again, focus shift set to 100, I think. Or maybe it's set to -100, I don't know. Maybe it's set to 0, I don't know. Huh, what's bend doing? And if you're ever in trouble with your brushes, you can always, if you've changed some settings and something's going wrong, you can always go in here in a brush and you can say reset current or reset all. We'll just say reset current. And that'll get back to your default settings. Let's reload the brush basically. And what am I doing wrong? You and you. Okay, so it did something there. You and you. Okay, well, I can't get bend to work, but bend should do the same thing as like a rotate, but it's just a little bit more foldy, a little bit more controlled. So that's the cool one. Okay, so bend is working now. Okay, so here, let's go to, oh my gosh, let's go to the knee, and I wonder if it's, anyway, it should bend your mesh. Play with that. On the alternative for that, if you are running into problems, and this is probably user error, you can also just go in here to control, like do a mask lasso and invert it, and then W and then rotate. As well as with this new version of ZBrush, 2025-ish, you can hold down control, and as you drag down your mesh, it should mask along. But it seems to be stuck on the polygroups. Let's see. No. It'll mask along and kind of fade out. If you don't like the fade, do BTC, which is Transpose Classic. Let's see if that... Huh. Doesn't seem to be dragging down my mesh. But that will kind of drag down, using your topology to kind of drag down your mesh. But you can also use polygroups. So we just introduced these polygroups here. So you can do Control-Shift drag over these polygroups. Control-Shift-A is visibility grow all. Control-Shift-Q is visibility grow polygroup. So now you can mask and invert that, and Control-Tab to mask it out, and whatever you want to do to kind of go through here and pose. But anyway, we won't be, we'll be doing some of that actually. So it's all relevant, rich tapestry of relevancy. Catching up on chat. Clay tubes and clay tubes constant. That's a good question. I really don't know. Let's check it out. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to just go with my startup material, what I think is like green metallic, and we'll just start here and we'll do a little bit of sculpting. So again, we set up our brushes. I've gone through here and I've turned my smooth brush down. So we'll go ahead and turn that up just a little bit here. And we're going to kind of age this. We're going to thicken that brow a little bit and kind of bring those down just a bit. Kind of, and also, so we're going to go in here to clay buildup. So here is my new default clay buildup brush. We can turn that intensity down or turn it up a little bit. And then if I want to switch over to my clay tubes brush, I can go in here and I'm just going to say my new hotkey is going to be, I'm going to hold down Control Alt and then tap clay tubes and then assign that to Alt B and hit OK. So now when I do Alt B, it's going to go to clay tubes rather than clay buildup. And I'll just kind of bounce around between those two. So while I'm on a lower subdivision, I'll crank the intensity up, and then as I go up in subdivisions, I'm going to turn that intensity down probably. So I'm going to just be hopping between brushes here, standard brush, clay brush. And if you want to make sure you're not like getting any mouth bag geometry, if I hold down Control Shift, you'll see we do have geometry on the inside of the mesh, on the inside of the lips here. So while we're sculpting, if you want to make sure we're not sculpting through the mesh, just make sure under your brush menu here, you go in here to auto masking. So like for our clay brush, I'm going to turn on backface mask. For our clay buildup here, or our clay tubes, backface mask, standard brush, turn on backface mask. So that way I don't have to worry about it pulling in geometry that I don't want. So we'll go ahead and thin this out and we'll kind of, let's see here. I'm trying to, let me make one of these a little bit larger here. Yeah, that'll work. And then this brow here. All right. So, actually, and I got some other reference here. Yeah. You know, I'm not going to show you this reference because again, I don't want to do any spoilery stuff, but I do have, oh, you know what? I think I got rid of, no, I moved them off. I usually have an artist folder, so I'd pull up like Jordu Schell stuff that would be really, really good reference. You know what? I got to get that back. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to copy that over and we can look at it together. What is it? What is it? This one. Artists. And I'm going to copy that in here real quick. Recording. God, why is Windows search so slow? I'm going to use everything. No, did I get rid of it completely? Damn. That can't be right. All right, well, I guess I got rid of everything on here. Dang it. I mean, I guess we could just look it up on the internet. So if you're interested, let's do, there's all, I mean, go find your favorites here, but let's go in here to images. And he's got some really amazing sculpts, obviously. And there's like an old lady witch. That's a really good, fun one to use. But I wish I had remembered that. This one right here, this witch. So we'll say save. You know, we'll just do open image and new tab. So we can use this as kind of just sitting out here as some good reference. I'm going to pull this down. There we go. All right, back in action. Scooch this over. And I'll put this right here. And I'm going to move my mic. There we go. So, cheekbones here. Let's go ahead and just kind of build this up a little bit and smooth it down. And we can maybe enlarge the ears a bit. So we're going to go in here and droop this down. And if we want to rotate these out a little bit, we can hold down Control. And let's go in here to mask pin. Or we can, you know, if we do mask lasso from the side, it's going to mask through the object, but that's okay. because it's just going to mask the ears. Control tap to invert that. Maybe we'll switch back to mask pin. I just really want to just get that ear. I don't have a, oh, I do have a polygroup for it. W, control tap that polygroup. That's a lot easier. And then we'll hold down Alt and kind of orient our gizmo, and then we'll let go of Alt and we'll just kind of pull this out. And then we'll go in here to deformation, inflate, and we'll just inflate that ear. Actually, I think there's a control for that. If I hold down control and then scale, it'll actually inflate for you, so that's even easier. What else? So yeah, we've got thicker ears here. Kind of bend those out, and like I said, enlarge them here. And again, we're going to do multiple phases. So this one's not going to be, actually this one is going to be pretty crazy. We're starting out not that crazy with the head, kind of dialing that in, but I think once we get to the body, we're going to go a little bit nuts. So we'll go ahead and thicken out this neck here a little bit. I think so. And then on the back, just making sure we still have symmetry. Let me see a side views. Yeah, so this back area is going to be highly, we'll say mutated. So here we're going to go through here and just kind of yank this out. And we're going to exaggerate those ribs and muscles and all that stuff along that part of the body. Go ahead and move this down. So we'll have a nice, nice rib cage along here. And so we'll kind of start indicating, you know, which direction those ribs go down, and then, you know, maybe the lats that are kind of pulling through here and kind of painfully going over that rib cage, and then some loose skin that goes here, and then some big exaggerated hips, bones in here. If we do need more reference, if you go to, let's do this, 10. The 3D scan store. I'll go ahead and link you here. This has some really, really great reference, and one of the things we're going to be pulling from here is this female here. There's layers on here that we can go through and do underweight, overweight. So we're going to pull this underweight slider, yeah, all the way to the right. So now we have a little bit of reference for, like, you know, like I said, those sharp hip bones and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and say, we'll bake all those layers. And if I want to bring over eyeballs and teeth, there's going to be a section where we might want to put teeth on this character, you know, kind of extra mouths or something. We can use these, or extra eyeballs. If we want to move all of these subtools over to our other subtool stack, let's go ahead and hit Control G. Nope. Escape. Control F for folder, and not group, but folder. And then we're going to go in here and say, I don't know, just give it a name, move, and we'll put just drag our subtools in there. And then with any of these selected, go in here to Z plugin, subtool master, copy folder, and then head on back to our other one. We'll put these at the very bottom here, and we'll say paste folder. So now all three of those will be dumped in there. And then, so now we've got one subtool 12, and I'm going to go ahead and close this folder here. And then one thing that might be a little tricky is I want to move, it shouldn't be too bad, but these are two probably very different scales. In fact, what scale is which? If I go in here to base body, F, and then I go down here to, okay, so this body morph is very, very small down here, and I want it to match my body here. But it's not just scaling this body up, I want to scale all of these subtools. So I'm going to go in here to the gear icon, say transpose set. Let's turn off X symmetry, hold down Alt, and go to this little teardrop icon to go to the middle, and then we'll turn X symmetry back on. And then with this, that'll make it so that we're moving all three of these subtools only. So if I back out, that's actually put her, hold down Alt and move this down to the bottom of the feet here. So now if I go through here, and I'm going to, this might be a little superstitious, I'm just going to scale up gradually. There has been instances where I've scaled super fast, or I've done like a, oh, what would it be called? Like a deformation unify, and it hasn't had the intended effect. It's like softened my detail. So I went with this one selected, went to the highest subdivision level. Incidentally, this one actually goes to 6 subdivision levels. I just didn't need all that poor detail. We're keeping it general. So I'm just going to slowly scale this up. There we go. So that they match, they're in the same space. And like I said, we'll use this as a reference here. So we've got this in place. So now, eyeballs and teeth, we can go ahead and turn off. We don't need that. And then with both of these showing, I can go in here to split screen, and then, let's see. So we got just our two bodies showing. So now as I'm working on this, oh, sorry, your split screen will be under transform. No, is it? Yeah, transform split screen is right here. I haven't moved over here. There we go. So now we got a little bit of reference. So again, as we're going through here and we're like, okay, we want to maybe exaggerate this collarbone a little bit here. We can do that. And what else? We got shoulder blades, and I'm also kind of looking at reference. These shoulder blades aren't super pronounced, but we can maybe indicate where they would go. And we'll go ahead and widen this up a little bit because we got that big gnarly back. Now, if I am going to be animating this, normally I would say don't build in like a hunched position because you would want to animate that, so you'd want to keep your A pose. I'm going to go ahead and not listen to my advice. I'm going to go ahead and invert this, Control Tap to soften that out a little bit. Hold down Alt to reset this. Go ahead and turn off Move Multiple, and we're going to start to hunch this thing here. And we can go ahead and, oh, actually before we do that, we have to have the other things move with this. So I'm going to hold down Shift. Okay. Ugh. Let's go in here to split screen. This will be one of the harder ones. And actually, let me see. The phase 2, is phase 2 going to be pretty hunched? Kind of hard to say. It's actually a little bit more upright. You know what? We'll stay away from the hunched version for now. We'll wait until we copy this off. So let's see. Legs are going to be thinned out. So let's go ahead and use that anchor brush that we were talking about. So BA anchors. We'll go ahead and put one here, and we'll put one here, and we're going to put that focal shift right in the middle, and we're going to choose inflate, and we're going to just deflate those legs a little bit here. Actually, I wonder, I'm going to do, because there's bones in here. So where there's bones really close, you know, for like the ankles and the knees and possibly the hips, those aren't going to move, but everything in here in between might move. Or, you know, this is just going to be muscle and fat and tissue. So if we go in here and inflate again, let's see if this works. Oh, hell yeah, it does. So we can just deflate all those parts there. If you wanted to, you could also just use your inflate brush. Just go into your inflate brush and hold down Alt, and you can inflate. But I don't know. Pretty cool using the anchor brushes. Here, and then, yeah, so we do still got some sinewy muscle for those legs, but it's just going to be a little more knobby where your tibia and your femur meet. There's not a whole lot of extra muscle or anything there. Now we are going to like bloat these things up and make them all knobby and stuff, for sure. But let me get a drink and we'll... Okay, back to the chat. Pose blush from Blender and sing it too. Yeah, that'd be cool. Like I said, we're actually gonna animate this. We'll use Character Creator, but you can use that to pose as well. But that would be cool to have. You could use Z spheres to pose. Especially for creature stuff, that actually might work out well. So if we go in here to playlists and intro to ZBrush 2023, just go home, Mike. ZBrush 2023. This one has a proxy pose with Z-sphere rigging and then a whole bunch of other transpose master with Z-sphere rigging. If you want to go and check those out, those will show you a couple different ways you could maybe pose stuff. Yeah, exactly. Sculpting those joints to make them look like if you bend the elbow, you want to go in and make that elbow pointy, basically, because it's just going to be a soft transition. Oh yeah, clay tubes and clay constant. So we're going through here and we're building stuff up. Of course, we can go in here and we can say geometry divide and start working on subdivisions here. So that'll make it a little bit easier. So if we go back here and we'll choose our clay tubes. So we got clay tubes and clay tubes constant. Whenever I'm looking at brush settings and I don't know exactly what they do, basically what I'll do is go in here and turn on samples and modifiers, and I'll switch between the two. So if I go here, and actually if we scroll down, here's my clay tubes. Now this is a lightly modified clay tubes. It's actually, those modifications are happening in here. I think my clay tube should have the roll distance set to 5. That's weird. So there's my clay tubes that's been updated, and then clay tubes constant. When I switch to that, you're going to see fast samples turns off. The position changes from 0 to 1. What is that? Average position be evaluated. Sliders at the 1, ZBrush, all the position servers. And I wanted to say that probably constant tilt. Does that change? And actually, we'll just switch to here. So here's clay tubes, new clay tubes. Nope, that stays the same. I was thinking there was this build up in constant samples. I was thinking it would be something between these two that changed, but apparently not. Just those two, the fast samples and the position changes on a clay tube constant. So, and you know what? Now that I see it, if we do like our clay tubes, it kind of has a soft fall off. If I go to clay tubes constant, it's not as soft of a fall. It doesn't, it's like if you're building up real clay, if you're putting on layers of clay. So that's pretty cool. We'd probably drop that Z intensity down just a bit, but yeah, that'll come in handy. So at least as far as I could tell, just kind of looking. Yeah, my camera is, what's the word? I'm afraid it's going to crash. So it was crashing Zoom it was blue screening my computer on Zoom. So I'm like, I need to figure out why that's doing that. Yeah, control while you're scaling will kind of inflate your object too. Gizmos on, control shift click on objects, merge subtools, mask all the subtools, but the one you click on when you use a brush, same click objects, hides everything. Is there any way to make ZBrush mask all the subtools but one when you're using a brush? Mask all the subtools but one. So I'd have to shift click mask. Oh, gotcha. So in this instance, let me see here. Let's say make polymesh 3D, W, control drag out, control drag out, control drag out, control drag out here, and we'll say group, auto groups. So use a brush, click on that, shift click, mask, unhide all, invert the mask. Yeah, so if you go down here to masking, this was a 2024 thing, I think. There is a mask grow all mask. So if I mask a little piece of this and then say grow all, it'll go ahead and mask just this, and then you can control tap that. I think that might be your best bet. So if you assign a hotkey to grow mask, I want to say if it's polygroup oriented, you can just control tap and that'll unmask. So with W held down, you can just control tap a polygroup and that'll unmask just that polygroup. If there are no polygroups, you can just do a mask grow all, and that will grow to all the, and then you can just control tap to invert. So it's a little bit less. But yeah, probably the easiest thing is if you do have different polygroups, just holding down W and then, or not holding down, but pressing W to go into transpose, and then control tapping in here will just unmask that, and then you can go back to your brushes, if that makes sense. Change the step of the gizmo while moving subtool. There probably is preferences maybe in here. This one I'd have to look up. There's something tickling the back of my brain that maybe somewhere in here there is a, so when you move this, oops. So as we're moving this, it's 0.1. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but maybe. Way to snap to grid while moving subtools? I don't think so. ZBrush isn't a real modular kit building program. You can do a lot of modular stuff with it, don't get me wrong, and it's actually very, very accurate. But it's not like a snappy program. You do have, where is that stuff? Align and distribute things in here in your subtools, but if you wanted to make a geometry grid that you could align pieces to, you could. But I don't know, it's probably more trouble than it's worth. Can you uncrease on the masked area? Yeah. And that was a new thing too. So underneath crease, there is uncrease unmasked. So if for whatever reason, if you wanted to say, okay, I'm just going to run a crease tolerance on here. So now all of my major edged forms are creased, and then say, oh, I uncrease just this edge. Instead of going into like ZModeler and saying crease edge loop complete and holding down Alt to crease it, you could go in here with a mask, I suppose. And then, or, you know, if you just want to say Control Alt and then unmask just that area and then say uncrease unmasked, if that's useful, sure. Yeah, if that okay. So let's see, delete that. I think we're pretty safe. We don't need this sitting in our scene anymore, so we'll say delete all. And that way, whenever a quick save kicks off, or you go up here and hit quick save, it's not going to take as long to quick save. You don't have a bunch of trash just kind of sitting over here, or unused subtools, I should say. So now, oh, also, if we're working at a weird scale, you know, you can see I'm capping out. I'm just going to turn off dynamic, just double click, and I'm actually going to turn this D on so it remembers that. So when I'm using the standard brush, dynamic won't come on. There we go. Okay, so what are we doing? We got, oh yeah, we're going to exaggerate, and we had some reference. So we'll go ahead and turn these two on, and we're going to go back to our split screen here. And then we're just going to kind of follow. And also, we're going to go, if we need to get rid of these arms temporarily, we can hold down Control Shift, select lasso, hold down Control Shift Alt. We can just kind of remove these from visibility so we can kind of see a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and take this hip, and we're really going to pull this out. So we're going to go ahead and just say these hip bones are flaring out like crazy, and then they're going to go around to the back, and they're even going to flare out even more. So and then hold down Shift, dynamic off for our smooth brush. There we go. Because we're working at a super huge scale, and it didn't seem like it was having problems, but all of a sudden I am. So we're just going to use that as our workaround. Now be careful with this one, because you do want dynamic when you're doing things like insert mesh brushing, but if you're just general sculpting, it's not a huge deal. Okay, let's look at the belly area here. And I may just kind of have to wing it. I don't have shots for every part, so I'm just going to kind of guess. So we're going to go through here, and let's turn down our Z intensity on our standard brush here, and we'll go back to our clay. Oh, yeah, our clay tubes. Let me see here. Brush, reset, current. Grabbed a Z depth for some reason. That's weird. I wasn't doing anything with my clay tubes. Let's do this. I'm going to say do a quick save. And we're going to, just so, because I ended up saving a bunch of brushes that I want to have loaded, auto-loaded, I'm going to go ahead and just clear out a ZBrush real quick. Yeah, we'll change our hotkeys, and then we'll hop back into ZBrush. Okay, how can I off dynamic for all brushes, because it's always turned on in my case every time I restart ZBrush and use ZModeler. I think if you wanted to, kind of like we did at the very beginning, you could turn dynamic off in the brush and then go and save over your Z data brush presets folder. There we go. Let's hit the comma key, quick save. We'll go to the end. Load up, load up. There we go. So now everything should be, let's go back to our split screen here. And then once again, we'll say, go into our clay buildup. So I have back face masking assigned to a hotkey. So I can go in here to my clay brush and hit my hotkey. And then this is just a little visual indicator, so I don't have to have, auto masking opened. And then clay buildup. Clay standard. There we go. So now we got clay tubes. Now I'm interested. Let me see stroke modifiers. Yeah, that roll distance set to 5. There was something weird going on, but we're good now. So here, let me see. We've got a rib cage here, and then these are gonna be. You know what? I'm gonna wait to modify the breast tissue until I get her hunched over. I think that'll be easier to manipulate. Okay, so we got some rib cage stuff here, and let's go ahead and crank that intensity up just a little bit here. Then we got some skin coming down, so I'm going to exaggerate the skin a little bit, and then also I think the legs will kind of maybe thicken up or just add some extra skin in some areas, and then really go nuts on the knees here. So if we wanted to just kind of make the knees a little knobbier just to kind of match, I mean, this is just standard brush stuff, nothing crazy. And then again, there's that femur button up against the, so this is the fibula on the outside, going down to your ankle here. And then there's that tibia. There's all the good stuff in the knee here. So we'll go ahead and build this up real quick. And then if we want to kind of, again, we're going to exaggerate this. So we're going to have a nice bone kind of shooting through here. And then we're going to go through and exaggerate, you know, all of these things here. So we'll go ahead and tuck this little cavity in here and just kind of make it look a little bit painful maybe. The skin kind of stretched over, and then here we'll go through, let's do it like an inflate brush. There's a couple different ways we can go through an inflate, but we're going to put some nodules here so we can actually, you can use the underlying, if you wanted to say like there was some bone growth or something like that, you can go in there and just use the existing bones to kind of go through there and inform, if it's not just like tumors hanging off, which we'll get to. You know, you can just use that. So now we've got some big old built up knees, and again we're going to do asymmetry after a bit, but for now go ahead and keep it. Again, these are exaggerated, and this is going to kind of pull through here, and then we're going to kind of shrink this down here, kind of smooth it out, and she'll be hunched over too. And then if you hold down, if you go into your move brush and hold down Alt, that'll pull along the surface normal, as opposed to going to the side and trying to like, you know, maneuver this around. Just hold down Alt and just pull right along that surface normal. We're going to pull that tailbone out, like so. And then again, go back into our standard brush here. So we'll bring the arms back here. And ours, I like this reference too, because we are going to have, I think I got a good shot of this. Sorry, I'm just getting acclimated to my workspace here. You know what I did? Where did it go? Nah, we'll just figure it out. But so basically all of the little muscles and tendons in here are all relevant, and then we're just going to kind of hang some skin, and I think we might be able to use dynamics on that. We can kind of wrinkle the skin up once we get a few more, like maybe one more subdivision here. So again, here is that rib cage that we've exaggerated out, and on the back here, yeah, and that's going to be pulling muscle and tissue along with it, which will be fun. And then yeah, here's our back here. So let's go ahead and dial in our bony landmarks. So right through here, we're going to have our shoulder blade, and then let's see, teres major here-ish, and then our infraspinatus, little flat, and then our delts will kind of plug in here, something like that. And then our traps aren't going to be, they're not going to be super built up, but they can be doing something interesting. So we'll go into our clay buildup, and we'll kind of pull these forward a little bit, right in through here. And then this will be, you can see our, what is that? Pectoralis major. Actually, there might be a little pectoralis minor underneath the skin, maybe a little bit. But so we got, this is kind of where the muscles kind of fan out, and then they'll kind of rotate over each other and then cross over each other and attach about, I want to say 3 fingers down from the head of the humerus. Widths, finger widths. So we'll kind of dial that in, and this is going to kind of be deflated tissue. eventually. Let's see. Let's hold down Control. Go in here to Mask Lasso. And like I said, once it's hunched, once the character is hunched, we'll have those. Those will have a little more personality. But let's invert that mask. We'll Control Tap to blur that mask, and then I'm just going to kind of use my brush here. I wonder, actually, let's go in here to Dynamics, and let's do a little bit of self-collision, gravity down. We don't need the floor. Let me see, run. Geometry, 1. Let's turn the gravity up a little bit. Okay, so that'll start kind of pulling that geometry down a little bit. Probably just easier with the move brush here. There we go. So that'll be the start there. And then again, right on here, I think we'll go ahead and just follow this lead. So we're going to see our nice exposed sternum. And then on the back here, again, this rib cage is just going to be going nuts. And then our vertebrae is going to be nice and knobby. So essentially, not normally, but on most body types that you're going to see, it's going to be an indentation here, and then you might see a few indications like your C6 right here will kind of have a little bump on it. On an emaciated body type, just all along here is probably going to be the vertebrae really close to the skin, and then down here it might be kind of embedded between the spinal erectors, but again, we're going to have fun with that. So we got a rib cage here, and we're starting to run out of resolution, I think. But again, we're taking it slow. We're just getting everything dialed in, and then we're going to go back through and let's exaggerate maybe this a little bit here. So this is the stage. We'll call it stage. We'll call it stage 2. We're going to start with stage 2, and then we're going to move on to stage 3, and then we're going to do a stage 4, and then I'm going to pick maybe which one to roll with here. So let's go ahead and, so this is our medial epicondyle of the humerus right here, and then, you know, our flexors are going to be attached, and then our extensors on this side here. So we'll go ahead and knock that in, and then we'll go ahead and we'll give a little bit of a point. So I'm going to go to my Move Acu. Oh, I forgot to mention that. So my Move Brush, the Move Brush just kind of does a soft move, and the Move Acu brush that we talked about earlier will move to a point. So that's useful for like hard surface stuff. Awesome, thanks. Yeah, so we'll kind of, and also another thing to take into account, see how these bones kind of curve? Not the bones themselves necessarily, but the forms after all the muscles and tendons and stuff. I mean, the bones do curve. You know, it goes outside to inside, and then all the muscles and stuff kind of straighten it out. But that's also something we want to kind of build in a little bit, just to kind of get a little bit of life and motion into your character here. So we'll kind of go through here, and and then also the hands too are pretty gnarly, if I remember. They're going to be very witchy hands, and in fact, maybe a slight inflate. A lot of loose skin, and we'll exaggerate the tendons kind of going up. And this is one of those things too. In fact, if you want to see ArtStation page, Reillusion Character Creator, we go through and we do this process with, I want to say this goblin guy. So kind of going through here and bringing our bodies over, and then just going back. Exactly what we're doing here is what I'm going to be doing, at least for this first phase. The next phase is going to be a little bit more intense, where we have a bunch of stuff, growths and stuff, and we're really going to kind of push it. But this is essentially what you're doing, is just kind of going through here, subdividing, and then we're going to send this back and forth and go and texture it. And then you can go through and animate it with facial expressions and stuff like that. So that is one option. But I think we got this phase semi-dialed in here. So let's go through here and start, again, just kind of knocking in some of this. And we'll go ahead and stretch this mouth out just a little bit here. thin the lips out. And, oh, we got a good profile. This nose is going to be, oops. You know, starts aging, the cartilage starts sagging a little bit, and also, especially on me, I wish I could show you my face, but my camera is being weird. But as I'm getting older, you're really starting to see my skull come through my skin. That's one of the fun things. So you're, I want to say roof and soof fat, but basically as your youthful fat starts sliding around on your body over time, you're gonna, you know, some of your bony landmarks are gonna start protruding through a little bit. So you're gonna get a little bit more pronounced. Actually, let me see. I need to turn something off. Preferences. Where is it? Config. No. Interface. Z modeler. No. Click. Navigation. Right click navigation. Yes. Enable right click pop up. No. So that way, when I'm right click navigating, I don't have that little pop up that I never use. FYI. So now we're talking about, we got our clay tubes dialed in. Let's go ahead and, again, as we're getting higher in resolution, I actually drop our Z intensity down on here. So now we're going to have maybe a little fat coming through here. Again, loose skin and wrinkles and stuff. And again, we don't have a ton of resolution, but we just want to make sure that our initial pass is dialed in. I want to say there's a pretty healthy ridge line on the was that the temporal bone or something? Your temples are over here, and then the exaggerated. This one's not too exaggerated, but we'll follow the lead over here. We'll put in a nice exaggerated zygomatic arch there, and then we maybe, you know what? We're gonna kind of make this so it's kind of sunken. We're gonna weaken that chin a little bit, at least the underlying structure, and then over this we might put, you know, some loose, geez, to keep turning this the intensity down, some loose skin here. Here's another cool one. So when we go through and we start, if we want to use face tools, let me show you that real quick. The vampire, yeah. So for example, so yeah, the little platysma in the neck, as the head moves around, you can go ahead and use something called face tools plugin to go through and, man, did I not? Maybe it's this one. There we go. So making of this vampire here, you can go through and you can, of course, sculpt your head just like exactly like what you're doing, but then we use face tools to go through and dial in our custom expressions, and then going through here and doing custom platysma. So whenever his neck activates, it really pulls those strings. So that's another fun thing that we can do. But again, those are all up on YouTube. You can check them out, that process, those live streams. But we're going to go through here and yeah, we'll just kind of hang this down. We'll get that skin kind of hanging a little bit. And again, these are just going to kind of be straight lines here, because this isn't like muscles following something, so it's not like our sternocleidomastoid, where it's going to go from, you know, that back little knob back here to the front of your sternum. What is this little top part called? Pop quiz. Manubrium. Going to this area and then kind of splitting out over here. I need to go back through and refresh myself. I'm starting to lose it a little bit more when I don't do anatomy for a long time. But anyway, so we'll go through here and we'll take this neck in, and then we'll just kind of pop those cords out a little bit, get some saggy skin going, and we'll get close to calling this one Blockout done for now, and then we'll go in and we'll do a couple more phases, and then again, like I said, we'll see. The next one's going to be nutso. it's going to be really intense. So brow. And yeah, let's go ahead and dig these in, these labial folds here. And right around the mouth a little bit. In fact, I could bring in other reference too. It's a little bit more neutral and old. Let me go ahead and do that. Let me load up. Oops. Here. Let's go out of split screen here. Let's go out of edit mode. Control N. We'll do a quick save, and then we'll do. Trying to think if I have a. I should. Give me a sec. Scan. Yeah. Okay. This will be good. It's got a little bit heavy, but this is again from that 3D scan story I was talking about earlier. Just for some quick reference, you know, we'll go ahead and turn this texture map off. I'm going to go in here to geometry. We don't need all of it. We don't need like poor detail or anything. We're not wrapping poor detail. But I think, yeah, 4 should be plenty. We'll say delete higher. In fact, just to make things even lighter weight, I'm going to say delete UVs. We don't need delete UVs. And then on Subtool, we're going to say delete other. So instead of copying a whole Subtool stack, we're just going to copy one over. So we're going to say append that here, and then we'll delete this out of our scene. And then, again, I'm not going to do a deformation unify or anything. I'm just going to very slowly have him scale up. So let's go here. Let's say turn off X symmetry, go to unmesh mesh center, reset, feet here, and let's do a and again, I don't know that that's completely necessary, but I'm superstitious and things can get weird and can break sometimes, and then I'll get stuck in my ways, so bear with me. There we go. So now let's go through here and let's put on our split screen again, and we'll Alt tap. Yes. So again, we wouldn't want to copy. We want to maintain the more that feminine. We would like these love handles over here aren't going to be on a boxy pelvis. They kind of overhang a little bit like that. We're going to maintain this, but some of this will come in handy. Some of this surface detail more than anything. The vascularity, and then this skin wrinkles back here will be good. Not that we don't need to take them wholesale, but just to remind ourselves of that. And kind of getting that motion too. So like as this is where we get into the phase. This is the funner phase where we start getting into the feeling of like, okay, this rib cage, and it's not even exaggerated enough because this thing is just like the neck is all down here, and this is all crazy. This is all. Let's drop this down a little bit, and we'll box this out like so. These are a little thicker. Something like that. But like I was saying, you know, almost make it feel like this is constantly inflating and then kind of pulling and stretching, and that'll just make it more uncomfortable while you're actively looking at it. It's not changing or anything. It's not actually inflating, but the more of those indications you can put in to kind of indicate that you know, this is a painful state to be in, and your muscles and tendons are pulling against each other and over surfaces in a really painful way. I don't know. It'll just feel right. So we'll go ahead and just kind of dial in that a little bit. And then, okay, back here. This is really good reference too. So if I want this to stay bright, I'm going to turn on this colorize, and then if it ends up being a weird color, just go in here to color fill object with RGB set to 100, and it'll fill it with a white color. So now it'll stay bright over there. So this, you can see that's perfect right there, that humorous going, you know, you can see that bone really clearly right in there. And that's not on everybody, but on this reference it is, and we'll use it. So we got our little clay buildup, clay tubes, and then there's that medial epicondyle right there. Nice. So again, just using the landmarks that make sense for what you're working on. And again, this is a really good example too of, see that nice curve right there. Build that in a little bit. You really see that ulna straight down to that pinky. Really, really nice. Love it. And then this here, so this is a good rhythm too. So you can see, again, here's that deltoid, and it kind of swoops right back over here. So there's their brachialis and your bicep here. And that, ours obviously isn't going to be super muscular or anything, but you're still taking those rhythms and using them, and then we'll dial in that surface detail as needed. But we'll skinny these arms up, and then we'll go through and we'll do like a saggy skin pass as we start getting a few more subdivision levels here. So here, and then again down to the nice knobby wrist here. And then this one's a little, again, knobby. So when I'm saying knobby, let's go in here to our inflate brush. I think that's a good knobby one. There's some blob brushes and stuff you can use that I think we'll get to on the next phase. But for this one, I think inflate's probably your best bet. And you can still have little indications of like, hey, there's a little tricep here and a little bicep here, and just following those rhythms. But obviously they won't be as exaggerated as on him. He's pretty beefy guy actually. And then this underneath here too as well. Here's another thing we could do. If for some reason, let me see, I'm going to go back here in our history. You can see like something, I grabbed too much here. So what we can do is we can control tap this point in history, move forward and go to BMG, that's your morph brush, and we can literally just morph this back. Then that's not a projection. That's not like a surface or like a project history. This is literally just moving the verts back. So you're not gonna, it's gonna make everything all nice again. I actually like parts of this too for a little bit more of a neutral face here. Nice thin lips. And so I'm actually gonna steal some of these features. Not steal, be influenced by an homage. I'm a steal. So we're gonna go through here and steal like so, and then and again, yeah, just that soft chin. We did pull this down here. Yeah. So again, we are gonna tilt this head way forward and do some more creaturey stuff. I just wanted to, for some reason, yeah, I just wanted to do this first, and then I'm gonna move everything else down. So before we go to our next phase, let's do that. So let's go ahead and go to out of split screen. We're going to turn on, I'm going to throw this one into that folder so I can just close this and turn it all off. And then now let's go ahead. Again, I'm going to turn everything on minus what's in the folder. Hit W, go to Unmesh Mesh Center with X turned off. And with everything showing, I have to be very careful with this. I'm going to say I'm going to mask at the waist. Let me make sure I got a good reference image for this. There we go. So right here, control tap to blur the mask out, control tap to invert, control tap to blur a little bit. And now if I was to go through here and rotate, everything's going to be left behind. So turn on move multiple, control shift drag, and now as I rotate, I'm just going to verify real quick that these are staying put. Yes. So now I'm going to bend this forward at the waist. You know what, I'm going to mask out a little higher and then unmask those fingers. This is going to do some really weird things with my animation. Again, you probably want to build in this pose rather than pose like this, but I'm going to give it a shot. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I can always go back to a previous state or morph it back if I want to. You know how to do that now. There's this, and then I'm going to need to tilt this head back. So Control Alt here, Control tap the mask here, and we still have Move Multiple turned on, so now, there we go. Now I'm starting to see a little bit better. Yeah, so now this needs to go. Yes, 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 more. Blah. Here we go. Something like this. Alrighty. Now, when we were doing those indications of our scapula, I think they ended up getting stretched along here, and that's going to be something you would have to determine. You know, if you did want an elongated vampire-esque scapula along here, you could definitely do that. Ours, I'm just going to kind of tuck. I'm going to tuck them over here, and in fact, they might just be covered up by other stuff going on. So here also, again, we're going to exaggerate that vertebrae coming down. All right, so there's that first block out. Let me go ahead and save as. Phase 1. I'll say phase 2. And now I remember, because the other phase was going to be stood upright. Luckily, I think we just pull this back. There we go. So now we're going to start phase 3. So let me move this down here. This is where things get a little crazy. Let me see. Go ahead and get rid of this. All right. So this is where we're gonna start adding stuff. So let's go ahead and save this one as phase 3, so I don't do something weird. So this one, I'm trying to look at my reference here. So this one, it is gonna really exaggerate the face. I'm going to see how far I can push it without breaking something. So this side of the I'm going to immediately turn off X symmetry because there's nothing symmetrical about this creature. This side of the face right here in the left side of the face here, I'm going to leave that alone-ish, and that's going to be fairly predictable. And then this side of the face, I'm going to pull down and back here. And then this is just going to be a growth. So this is, the eyeballs are just going to be literally sliding off the face. This is where it gets Cronenberg, John Carpenter. Turn off move multiple. So again, this is just going to be an eyeball that kind of slides down and over. Yes. Yeah, and there's actually, oh yeah, okay, this is good. That'll be interesting to see how this animates. Okay, so we got this. We are going to have to move the eyeballs, but I'm not overly concerned about this. And then this is going to be just kind of a, let's go to this side of the face. This side, the ear is completely obliterated. So we'll go ahead and we're still going to use this geometry, but we're going to go ahead and smooth it down. Let's go back to subdivision level 1, smooth stronger, turn that up a little bit. And let's turn on polyframe so we can see. And again, not a whole lot of animation is going on over here in the ear, so I'm not too concerned about, you know, really decimating this. Let's see, RGB off, see it on. I'm going to hold down Shift, start smoothing, and let go of Shift just to kind of get a different algorithm going so I can try and get rid of some of this pinching in here. Let's do an inflate. Just trying to get this to, let me see. Let me undo this one. Let me do a polish by feature open circle. Let me do a mask. Give me a second. Masking, mask border, grow mask. Polish by features. I mean, this isn't going to be great to sculpt on, but it'll be passable. And we also have to decide, once I get to a certain point, how much of this needs to be animatable parts of the face, and then how much of this isn't. You know, what's going to be extra pieces. And what I mean by that, let me show you real quick. So not everything. So for example, this is an example where this part of the face will animate, and then this stuff around the face, like this co-character, is just going to be weighted to it. So this is the animated base mesh face, and then this is going to be just extra mutated creaturey stuff that follows along with it. Another example, not so creaturey, but same idea, is this one. So this part of the, let's skip fast forward a little bit. There we go. This part of the face is the actual base mesh, and then all the hair and stuff around it is, you know, just weighted to the face. So this is the only part that's really animating, and then this stuff's just weighted to it, just kind of moving along with those bones. So that's what I'm talking about when this can all be base mesh animated, then the rest of it can just be mutated pieces, kind of softly following the bone movement. Oh, okay. Let me get my coffee here. Go back to chat. Practice anatomy as a beginner. Yeah, kind of what I'm doing now is just kind of using scan reference, but I took a class, Scott Eaton class, that was really fun and really good. Just practicing anatomy, learning anatomy, drawing anatomy is good. In fact, if you go to my we cover this a bit. So if you just go to my YouTube channel here and just say anatomy, we've done some live streams where we've talked about, there we go, body blockout from scratch, vampire anatomy live stream. Those will be, I mean, those will have references, resources and stuff too. But decent place to start maybe. Can we split screen and work on different objects in each viewport with different viewport navigations? I wish. No, I don't think you can. As far as I know, unless you got fancy, the split screen is literally just one subtool in space together, rotating at the same time. So as far as I know, I'm not able to do that. Are you able to do hard surface, or is Blender easier? I should also mention I just got ZBrush 3 days ago after using Blender for 3 years, so I told it's made for organic sculpts. Oh no, you can, I mean, it's one thing. It's difficult for me to say, oh yes, you're going to use this program only for this, because immediately you'll be embarrassed by someone out there who's like, well, I use ZBrush for this. In fact, let's do this. Let's get embarrassed together. Yeah, anybody who tells you like, oh, you have to use this to do, you can only use ZBrush for, actually we got, let's see, design for, if you scroll down here, actually this is all good stuff, but here's some examples and links to places and, you know, ways you can use hard surface. So there are some very, very good hard surface people who use ZBrush for hard surface. Very prolific, amazing, far better than me. But where is my ZBrush? I lose my Miro board. Hold on. I can take you through that real quick because I have my Miro board also divided up. I need to go back through and... So, for example, there we go. Stylized creature, human, ZBrush, guides, hard surface. So yeah, there's tons of really, really amazing hard surface ZBrush people. And you'll find those resources, and a lot of them are linked in that document. So check them out. And that's not to say you don't have to like box model everything in ZBrush if you don't want, but certainly getting your idea in the round is fun as hell in ZBrush. So why not? Let's see. So we got, okay, this here, and then this is just going to be, we'll dial in like what I can do with the base body, and then we'll go have some fun just kind of insert meshing and getting some crazy stuff. And then this one here, if I want to move the top lip here, there's a couple different ways. I can go in here to brush, auto masking, and turn on topological. There's a topological move brush. BMT is move topological. It just basically turns this on. I'm going to change this range down, and now I'm going to say this one always seems to be like in a constant state. Let's see, W. Yeah, so now it seems to be working. So now when I control drag, I was in a weird state earlier. Sorry about that. So if I hold down control and drag like I was trying to do earlier, you're going to see the default transpose gives you a very soft gradient. Again, you can go to BTC, that's transpose classic. And now when you drag down, it'll give you a little bit of a harsher gradient. So now when we go in here to pose, we can bend. Now let's try, let's see if I'm not in that bad state anymore. Anchors with bend. Here, here. No, still doesn't want to do it. Okay, I tried. Okay, so back here on the face. Oh yeah, so this mouth was kind of opened up, and then this mouth here, and then the teeth were kind of a little bit busted. But so we're going to kind of expose those teeth a little bit. And then on the left side of the face here, from the chin on back, looks like it's just, you know what, we're going to need more geometry. Subdivision level 2. Here on back, it's going to kind of pull this way. And then we got kind of a head and kind of a masseter. What is this? Your little jaw muscle. And then again, like that ear is gone, but we can go, now we're going to go, let's go into our dam standard brush. You can kind of use that to kind of go through and cut in, you know, direction. So you can like sketch a direction, a flesh direction, we'll call it, or a skin direction, or a muscle direction. And then you can go through in between, and you can use your clay tubes, your clay buildup to kind of go through here and get that going. So now we got a big old lump up here. So we'll go ahead and just, I guess, just use our clay brush or standard brush. These brushes really don't matter. I mean, use whatever feels comfortable for you. Let's see, we've got a nice growth right here. And so inflate might be a good candidate there. And like I said, some of this might be good with the blob brush. I like to use the blob brush with Sculptors Pro. However, I can't change the vertex order of this mesh to keep it animatable. That's not to say I can't, you know, dynamesh it and do whatever I want and then snap these verts and project the details back. I just don't feel like doing that. So I'm not going to. Okay, this side of the face is continuing to slide. We're going to have a nose hole, and it's going to kind of be tucked over here. And again, the skin is just going to be pulling and pushing, and maybe this fold down here. Now we are going to be talking a little bit more about volumes and how they kind of fold over and interpenetrate each other. And an easy way to kind of do that is just to go through here and mask with your mask pin here, and that'll give you a little bit more control. So you can say, I want this one to go from this origin over here, or whatever, you know, this direction to this direction, and you can control that a little bit easier. So it's going to be a lot of that, just kind of overlapping and folding, using your dam standard to kind of push in. And then this part of the face here, let me see if I can't get, let me zoom in just a little bit, sorry. Bigger, there we go, bigger. And a lot of this too is just getting some good reference and then kind of just hanging out with it and just sculpting, you know. So as I'm live streaming, this is where I get nervous, where I'm like, oh, don't be boring, show a bunch of techniques. But at the end of the day, it really is just like, you know, go in here and just sculpt the hell out of something. Now, there is something interesting going on with this phase 3, which is kind of a repeating motif of a vertebrae that goes just down the character. So let's set up a vertebrae brush. Let's go ahead and do here to quick save. Let's go in here to our sphere, a sphere. F to frame, make polymesh 3D, turn on X symmetry. Let's hit Control D a couple times. And now what we're going to do, actually, let me see, B, C, brush. Is there a chisel creature we can start with? Chisel Organic. Let's see what's in here. M. Like a repeating bone shape. That's fine. Let's drop down to subdivision level 2. And I'm just going to kind of create along here. First, we're going to need a ridge. So I'm going to take a ridge, and we're just going to kind of smooth this out. Because again, you always want to start with the forms first. You know, what's the major shapes? What is your sphere and cylinder, right? What is your just the major volumes that you're trying to do? And in fact, I'm going to keep this a little tighter because I can always... there's a couple different... You know what? Okay, we'll do this. We'll go into our clay buildup. I was going to say we can keep the vertebrae kind of contained and then go in here and do this fill out later, but I think we'll go ahead and do it now. We'll build this into our brush. So we're going to kind of give us a little bit of meat on either side here, and then we're going to hold down Alt, and we're just going to go through and just be like boop, 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 kind of push in. So this is going to be the recesses around our bony landmarks, which is going to be like this. So this is going to be like our vertebrae just kind of poking through the skin, and then the skin kind of stretched over it. Speaking of, let's just put this on the ArtStation page. If you want to see shrink wrapping, we did do a little bit of shrink wrapping for peanuts here. You could use maybe a technique like this if you wanted to put vertebrae under a dynamic skin. You could use this technique, so you can go check that live stream out if you're ever so inclined. Okay, so now we need a little bit more subdivision, so we'll go up to subdivision level 3. And now, there we go. So we'll kind of go through here, and again, just have that skin kind of stretching from our bony landmarks here. And then we'll go into our, let's go into our damn standard O2 brush. You can download this one off the internet from maddamnart.com. And we'll go through and again, just this one I'm gonna exaggerate the brush a little bit here. So we're gonna go through here and just kind of, again, I want to keep it semi-contained. Let's try the Geo Soft Forms brush. We're going to kind of dig in. And go back into our clay buildup here, and this is going to be the meaty part here. So this is all recessed through here. Let's drop that Z intensity down. And then back to our clay buildup or our clay tubes, whatever gets you the result you want. Now I'm not keeping a very close attention to like my start and end point, so this may not repeat very nicely. But again, I think just as kind of an idea, you'll get the idea. Okay, yeah, these actually overlap quite a bit. And I can exaggerate that too once I'm on the final sculpt. So what we're doing now is just setting up a repeating brush that I can just use to kind of dial in some volumes here. Also, let's go ahead and, our lazy mouse is on by default on the standard brush. I'm just going to tap L to turn that off temporarily as needed. So if the lazy brush starts feeling like it's a little too soft, you can tap L to turn your lazy mouse off, and that'll give you a little more punch or allow you to do like dot stuff. Because the lazy mouse won't allow you to do that. Here, and then we'll kind of... And this is where, you know, here I'm kind of going fast and it's giving me a dotty stroke. That's where I might turn lazy mouse back on, and that'll give me a smoother stroke. So kind of, again, L to turn that off, L to turn it back on, and kind of go in between there. And then back here to our clay buildup. And we'll go through. So now we've got kind of a nice vertebrae with skin kind of hanging off. So what I'm going to do is go back in my history until we're just at our, because this is what's going to be, it kind of depends on how much you want to build in. Because if you want to go through here and like start here, like capturing from here, that won't build in as much as that inflated volume. But if you go all the way back here to the beginning and then Control Tap to store that point in history and then go forward, all of this is going to be captured into your brush. So let's go in here to BXT, the extractor brush, and we're going to hit G on our keyboard. Let's first tap S on our keyboard to make our brush size pretty big. And then again, if you're ever like, what was that? The extractor brush? Remember, you just go back to my YouTube channel, extractor, type that in, and then boom, there you go. Whole bunch of extractor brush stuff you can do. So again, G on our keyboard. I'm just going to click at the top here and just drag here. We're going to capture this. So now, hopefully, there we go. So now we've got a nice vertebrae brush that we can use. And again, it's not going to tile very well, but I think I can bridge the gap in between those two. So, and if you want to save this, you just do a brush save as, and we can start. I'm not going to probably use this much, but we'll go back to, so if we want to put that in our lightbox, let's say, let's go here to, this is all our lightbox folders, C program files, Maximum ZBrush 2025. So we talked earlier about Z startup brush presets. These just load up extra brushes to ZBrush. We talked about Z data brush presets. These are the ones that load with ZBrush, so you can overwrite those, but be careful. And then we also have Lightbox. So if we go in here to ZBrushes, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. Do I have a creature one already? I feel like I should. Or you can just put whatever folders you want in here, and you know what? We'll just throw it in. We'll make a new folder. New folder. Creature. Oh. Am I crazy? Did it? There it is, the creature. Okay, there. I did already have creature stuff in here. I was like, I knew I had a creature brush. So we could call this, we'll give it the old school spelling, Vertebrae. So I don't know. Go ahead and save that. So now when we hit the comma key, we'll go in here to brush. And then now if we go in here to our creature. So here's a bunch of creature stuff. Oh, good. I have my zombie brush here. Yay. Okay, okay. We also have some human skeleton stuff we could pull in. Okay, this will be fun. Okay, so back to our character here. F the frame. So right along the front here, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control D one more time. And right along the front here is kind of a built-in little vertebrae area. And again, you know, you can hit Control D one more time just to give yourself more, what's the word? Resolution. So you can kind of dial that in. And again, if that brush has built-in height or volume, a pretty intense volume change, you can just make our original mesh a little softer. Brush. There we go here. And then along the back too, there's some crazy stuff going on. So this one I don't have such a great view of, but we're gonna guess. So we have X symmetry turned off. I'm gonna go back to our volume. So this is more detail-y. In fact, you get it. I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need all those subdivisions. I'm just telling you how to make a brush here, but basically we're gonna go through here. We're gonna twist this over. So this whole back area twists over this way, and then all of this gets inflated. So you know what? I'm going to turn X symmetry back on. We're going to go back to our anchor brushes here. We can go to Anchor Classic. Click here, turn off focal shift to 0, and now when we inflate, do it. Now when we inflate, here, focal shift at 0. Huh, maybe not. Maybe it has to be anchors. I don't know. Hip, ankle, focal shift, inflate. We were literally just doing this. What is going on? Unmask maybe? Here. Like literally early in the stream. There we go. So now, yeah, this is going to be pretty severely inflated. You know what? I think the knees are probably going to stay. Those aren't going to inflate. And the ankles, those aren't here. Let's blur that mask out. There we go. So we'll kind of inflate this up a little bit. Perfect. And then this here. And again, this whole spine. Let's turn off X symmetry. This whole spine goes this way. And in fact, it looks like not only does the spine... Why is it putting it over there? Oh, because I overwrote the extractor. Oops. This spine looks like it kind of travels here and then goes down around here, and it kind of just ends up on the, not even where the spine would be necessarily, but kind of over here on the butt a little bit. But anyway, again, like I said, we're just doing volumes right now. Let's go ahead and crank up our Z intensity here, and we'll go through really quickly and just dial in this all these volumes here. It's a little thicker through here. Oh, there's a good one. Hold on. And then we'll turn on X symmetry, because it looks like this one has both versions of the arm. So let's do this. Let's do again our BA anchors here to here. We still have inflate, so we'll inflate these arms up a bit. Hands don't look severely changed. Maybe a little inflated up here. And these are going to be kind of difficult to sculpt in between, so what I'll basically do is throw this back, once I get to a point, throw it back into Character Creator, change the pose, and then put everything back. But before I do that, I'm making some pretty serious changes to the geometry, so I want the bones to follow along, so that's why I have to use this A pose initially. This here, the ear is still kind of in play on this side, but it is dragged down a little bit. Everything on this side seems to be just sliding off the face a bit. So we'll go through here, the clay buildup here. And again, this is just hyper mutated. And then this here built up, and then we got a nice, looks like a nice oblique kind of going on this side. Let's see, so we got that neck part here. Let's go back to the head detail. On this side, so again, we got the vertebrae volume coming through, and then right about here is there's extra mouths on this thing. Yeah, so this here is going to be pulled out quite a bit, almost to the shoulder. Then over here is kind of an extra mouth. So this is where we get into, do I really want to try and sculpt an extra mouth, or do I want to put a, yeah, this is problematic as well. So I'm going to do another masking, our border, grow mask, invert, go through here, polish by feature, just to get that ridge down there a little more manageable. Because yeah, right along here is going to be a mouth, something like this. So let's go into our Damien Standard brush. Let's move this over. This kind of goes around here and kind of tucks back in. And I guess for really any of this too is like whatever, if you want to give it the sense of like, okay, these features are kind of sliding off and then these features are kind of going through here and pulling and twisting, and you know, this muscle got caught while it was mutating and then it's dragging the rest of the skin with it, and there's a ligament that's, you know, like kind of trapped over here and it's pulling, you know, just getting that sense of motion in your volumes. And then as you add details, just enhancing that motion is probably your best bet. Not a bad choice. And then, God, this thing just keeps getting bigger and bigger. every new reference shot I look at is just like crazier and crazier. Big old lump back here. So back over here, we need more resolution. So if I was to try to build some sort of face in here, I would have to use a pre-existing geometry. So maybe let's do a mask first. So here's a little mouth opening over here. Yeah, this is going to be a nightmare. And again, this part doesn't really need to animate that much. So instead of trying to force this geometry to do what I want, this is where I might start using like insert mesh brushes. So this particular subtool has, oh, dang it. I'm used to going in here to Tool, Save As. I really should be going in here to File, Save As, so it doesn't rename my first mesh, but I can just go in here and say CC Base Body. We should be back where we started. So instead of Tool, Save As, we'll go in here to File, Save As, Phase 3. There we go. Should have mentioned that. So now let's talk about, okay, we're getting a little too far off from what the base mesh is going to allow me to do. So now I'm going to start adding stuff to this. With this base body, what I can do is like insert just a polymesh 3D star, whatever you want. It's going to put a really small one down here. If it isn't that way, if it's actually like, in your instance, like a really big star, you know, you can just shrink it down a little bit. You can put it inside the body or put it down by the feet, whatever makes sense for you. But now it's just kind of a little hidden mesh hanging out. So if I turn on X to turn on X symmetry and turn off transparency, I can still use this mesh without any subdivisions to insert meshes onto this object. So for example, if I go into the comma key, go in here to Tool, let's grab the Ryan Kingsland anatomy model here and hit F to frame, and we'll say delete other because we're just going to grab bones. So if I wanted to grab, you know, just the skull or something, Control Shift drag over these pieces, Control Shift A, geometry modified topology. We'll do a split hidden. So just the skull is in its own spot here. So we're going to say, let's do a quick save, just in case. And then B, create insert mesh, new. So now we have a skull insert mesh that we could use. And if you, when you drag the skull out, if you want it embedded, just go in here to depth and change this down to a lower number. We'll just put it at 0. So now it's kind of half buried. So now, for just one example of if we wanted, you know, a skull coming out of here or a pair of teeth, for example, with this one selected, we can turn off X symmetry in this case, and we can just put, you know, like a face of some sort down here. So we'll go ahead and scale this up a little bit here, and we'll embed this down. And now you have something that you can use as a guide or something to kind of build off of. Now, this is still applied to our initial Polymesh 3D, so if I want to split that off, split, mask points or split unmasked points, your choice. And now this is on its own subtool. So now we can start working these two objects together. Same idea for if I want to go through here and start just adding clay. This is where I can go into like BI brush insert, IMM primitives, hit M, go in here and grab a sphere and just drag this off, and then say split mask points, and then just pull this in, and now I've got a sphere that I can go through here and start, you know, adding tumors. And I can work this so that I can, you know, as I'm subdividing, I can use natural seams in the skin and the tissue to kind of mask the fact that this isn't actually contiguous with the base mesh. It's just kind of pasted on there, but you can make it look good. Now, in order to make this a little more sculptable, I might do like a ZBrush mesh, same, adapt size down to 0. That's under your geometry ZBrush mesh, and then you can just hit Control D to subdivide, or you can just go in here to Dynamesh. Just, oh, I'm working at a very large scale, so this is going to be a very high resolution Dynamesh. I'm going to take this Dynamesh resolution, drop it all the way down. And if you want it even lower, I could even, or higher, in your case, Z plugin, you can load up Dynamesh utility. That's a plugin you can download if you want more information on where to get plugins and how to download them. That goes back to my intro to ZBrush, what's new and up. Click here. And then if you do Control F, for example, you can go in here and do like custom brushes that we were talking about, and then also custom interface, and then plugins. I was like, what were we talking about? Oh, I guess it's not in there. Well, where is it, Mike? Let's see. Plugins. Installing ZBrush plugins, video 35. So anyway, you can go check out, like I said, YouTube there, or like I was talking about earlier, if you want to follow along with the body stuff, my ArtStation page has some resources in some of those areas. Okay, catching back up on let's see here. Split screen. Okay, getting caught back up. Follow recently. Yeah, I don't know if they I don't know. They might demonetize this, I suppose. Yeah, ZModeler. Oh, that's another thing too. We were talking about earlier with hard surface. If you want like a walkthrough of ZModeler, again, that intro to ZBrush updated. If you scroll down, I think there's 3 or 4 videos in a row of like dynamic ZModeler and then a dynamic increasing, which will come in handy for sure. Yes, Sloth from the Goonies, exactly. Absolutely, that would be amazing. Do that, Isaac. You make a sloth character and use that base body. Stop motion style animation. There was one, it was a ZBrush summit where somebody, I forget the name, damn it. They went through and they were using ZBrush to do a lot of really cool, organic, flowing animations. It was really neat. I don't remember enough of it to give you searchable terms there. Sorry about that. That sounds cool though. Yeah, absolutely. No problem, Freeman. Thanks for hanging out. Yes, ZBrush is good for sculpting. Yes, Toxic Avengers, that's another one. Or, you know, in RoboCop, after you get the acid bath type thing. The 4-point character, I find out. In weight mode, there's only one undo step. When I remember earlier, there were more than one. Oh, that is weird. I would hope there would be more than one undo, especially when you're painting weights. Well, you know, painting weights in Maya specifically, it doesn't undo very well. In fact, I never use undos when I'm painting weights in Maya. It's like a save often. And then if I need to like, oops, I added too much influence, then I go through and I choose another bone and add. I'm always only adding influences because undos do really weird things in Maya too. So I wonder if they did cap it. Maybe, I don't know. Wish I had a better answer, Imperial, but yeah, that might have something to do with it. John Yu, yeah, thanks, man. Excellent. I am having a good new year so far. VDM, yes, so we made a custom VDM brush. That was our Vertebrae brush. Now we're using IMM brushes, and now we're getting a little bit crazier with our sculpting stuff. This is a little burnout feel. This is how I feel after about 12 hours in development. Optimus Prime. You know what? Paul Gabry has some. He was doing some of those, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, Paul. Let me see what he's got. Gundam hanger. I want to say he's got entire live streams. That was the hanger. Shoot. Is this one? Videos? Aircraft hearts. Oh, yeah, this one. No. it has the it has the thumbnail somewhere in here. Is Gundam. It might just be on the Maxon channel. Stream. Sorry, I gotta find it. Toon shader. Somewhere on the internet, I swear he makes the Transformers model essentially. See if you can find that. Let's see. Still fighting aside, what is better for hard surface modeling, ZModeler or Blender with plugins? Why not both? I mean, if you're already using ZBrush for organic, then just you can use ZModeler for all sorts of cool stuff. A good example of that would be the id Software guys. So if we go here to id Software, they go through and do a lot of interesting examples of kind of blending, you know, sculpting and ZModeler and sub-Ds and alphas and stuff that you can check out. So whatever's comfortable for you. I mean, it's not either or. You're just adding more tools to your tool belt. So if you're only going to use one thing, then fine, and it works good for you, great. But if you ever get in a pinch and there's another tool out there that might help you through that, then having that in your back pocket wouldn't hurt either. But you know, pick and choose your battles because you can't know everything, right? So that's, I don't know. I would say do both. I will try to do more streams, although maybe not. I don't know. Attach an animated suit to the avatar. Sounds like an Iron Man suit with separate rig. In CC, in animating that separately, probably I wouldn't know how to do that. Yeah, I haven't seen Paul in a while either as far as live streams go, but yeah, I swear he did maybe he didn't. Maybe he just, I saw the end result of his model, but I could have sworn he did. Okay, so we got this lump over here. Okay, so this is where our base mesh are just becoming semi-unsculptable. So I'm just going to go through here and I'm going to put a piece of flesh, Dynamesh flesh, over on this side. And this is where, if you did want to say like project a face through onto your Dynamesh, well, it's Dynamesh. You could literally just insert a face. So let's do this. Let's go out of edit mode. Control N to clear a canvas. Let's go grab a female face real quick. I think an easy one for y'all would be just go into load tools from project, go into your ZBrush projects. This is where your lightbox is. The reason I'm doing this because I don't want to load in a Z project and have it blow away all my working objects, but I do want to go in here to female ZPR. That'll just load up the tools instead of the project itself. So now we have a female face. I'm going to hold down, let's go in here to geometry, subdivision level 3. We'll say delete higher, delete lower, turn off perspective, control shift. I'm just going to take this, we're going to say delete hidden. Again, we'll do a quick save. B, let's add it to our insert mesh here. So we're going to say B, create insert mesh, append. And now whenever we use this brush, we can switch between the skull and the head. So then if I go back here, there's a couple things we could do. You could do a VDM brush. So I think under brush creature, there's some cool, or maybe brush chisel organic maybe, or chisel. In here is a mouth. So if you, and I actually use this on my bait. So if you, here's just like kind of a plain old mouth. That's actually not too bad. But I also thought there was another mouth. This was used, again, just kind of going down memory lane here, in our ArtStation page, this baseball guy. So if you watch the making of this, when we go through and we're just kind of putting a face on a baseball, we just went through and used this one, Chisel 3D, just using these features. So if you don't want to sculpt an ear, an eyeball, or a mouth, you can just go into Chisel 3D. Glad I looked it up. B, C, Chisel, there it is. Hit M on your keyboard or just go up here and select. And there we go. There's a big old open mouth with a little uvula in the back. There we go. So we could, you know what? That's actually, is that fairly, it's not it's not totally off. So this will go through. And here's another thing. Let's try to turn on Sculptris Pro. No, that's not going to work great with that, is it? Let's take down that Z intensity here. And again, so you could just kind of put a mouth in here and then just start sculpting around it and modifying it like I did with the baseball. Or we can go back into our brush that we just made, our insert mesh brush, choose the face, and then we can just say, okay, give me a head that I want to kind of borrow from. We're going to say split mask points. I'm going to make this head about the same size, or at least the mount that we're going to borrow. And we're going to position this right in here. And then let's go into solo mode. And it looks like it's open a little bit. So I'm going to try to control drag down my geometry. And then I can go through here and we can kind of open this mouth up a little bit. Let's hold down control, mask lasso, control tap to blur. This doesn't really matter. Fine. And we could do symmetry on this face, but we're just going to play it fast and loose. Let me see, can I reconstruct? No. Yeah, that's fine. So we've got kind of a mouth shape, and then in here, this is going to be where my mouth ends up. So kind of, this is where I want the volume of my mouth to be. So because we're dealing with Dynamesh here, and there's no nose or anything, so we can just knock these back out of our lump. So again, use VDMs, you can use other meshes, and you can go through, yeah, there's a chin, bit of a chin through here. So it is, yeah, it's kind of like that. So now to merge these both together, all I got to do, I don't know where these are in my scene, and I don't really care. So I'm going to hold down Shift and bent down arrow, Alt tap, Shift, bent down arrow. I'm going to merge these down. Actually, I'm going to merge this one down because it has Dynamesh turned on with the resolution that I want. So Control E is my hotkey for merge down, Control drag to re-Dynamesh, and now this is all one contiguous mesh. So again, just multiple ways for you to kind of go and grab meshes and dial them in. And let's go to the back here because there's some interesting stuff here too. This there's a face on the back too. You know what? Do we want to skip ahead to the last phase because we're running out of time? Again, this is where basically just going through and there it is. Where is, sorry, and I'm having to remember where all my references. But on the back here, there's a whole like screaming head. So in that instance, I might go in and just make a screaming head and just plop it in as an insert mesh brush and then have it kind of pulling back. We'll do a quick proxy of that. So we'll go back to our Polymesh 3D. We'll put a head back here. We'll say split mask points, W on mesh center. So we'll go ahead and say, that's a little big. Something about yay sized on the back here. And this is just a growth. It looks like the head's just kind of coming through here. So here's our screaming head of sorts here. And this is just going to be, again, just kind of pushing out of the skin here. So this is where, I'd have to get creative here because this is going to be a little bit more difficult because I would want this to look like a contiguous mesh. Yeah, this one I would definitely have to play with to get this to work correctly within the system. Now, if you're not using Character Creator, you could feel free to, make it all one contiguous mesh and then do a facial rig back here and a facial rig here and a facial rig over here and do whatever you need. But again, working within the confines of a system, you kind of got to get creative sometimes. So this will be, again, where that head's growing through. And then again, it's that kind of the same idea where as things are stretching through, we're just going to kind of use our standard brush. And again, just get that pull. And 99% of this, like we're doing the blockout stuff now, but realistically, I mean, the blockout's probably going to be 50% of the work and then going through and just finishing out as the other 50%. But there's no real, like if you wanted to just go through here and do all this stuff with literally just Dynamesh and a clay brush, that's totally fine. When it comes to like creature sculpting, you don't have to be fancy. You don't have to go in with extractor brushes or anything, or VDMs or anything like that. Not that they're difficult to use, but just realistically, going in and just doing a sculpt that has the right feel that you want. It's not rocket science. Like you guys were saying, you know, hard surface is one thing, and you might have to know a bit of the ins and outs of ZBrush a little bit more to be proficient, or at least get something usable. But when it comes to organic sculpting, it is what it is. It's pretty simple for you. It's kind of built for it. And then also there's like an arm wrapped back here. So let's go back here to our comma key, because I did forget we did have creature brushes in here, and I got some old ones. These are from like ZBrush, 2013. Like we were at a 2013 ZBrush. No, it wasn't a ZBrush Summit. It was SIGGRAPH, where I made this zombie brush. Jeez. So we can go through here. We'll grab an arm, and we don't have to keep using this star if we don't want to. Anything that doesn't have subdivision history. So this head right here doesn't. So we can use this here. So this arm here, it looks like there's an arm that kind of comes out, and then there's an arm that's folded back. So same deal here. If we just kind of scale this up here and say split mass points, we can go through here and say, okay, that's a little big. Arm that sticks out, then an arm, comes around this way, sorry. So it kind of clamps on the back next to the head here. And then the elbow, that's what makes that little knot. Okay, so we'll go through here and we'll mask this and invert it. Control tap. Alt drag with our gizmo to kind of set the bone pivot. You could also hit Y on your keyboard and do old school transpose lines here, if I can remember how those work, and move these around. There we go. So now we have hit R to rotate. So now we have a little anchor point. I think you can also do Alt. Is it? I'm trying to remember. Alt? Oh yeah. So this will give you a little bit more of a pinch. So basically set your anchor where you want the bend, and then you can use this. Actually gives you a nice little elbow. So using transpose will be not a terrible idea. Sorry, let me see. Yeah, this goes here. God, it actually like bends around backwards, honestly. Like this way. Ugh, ouch. All right, we'll just do this manually. Y. Y on my keyboard to switch back to gizmo, not Y as in why am I doing this. Okay, then if I want to cap this hole, geometry modify topology, close holes, or ZModeler brush BZM, you can hover over an edge and you can say close convex hole, maybe, if you want to just cap this off and, you know, do anything fancy. But this is, again, once you get how these things work, let's do insert, multiple, keep. So it's going through here and, you know, again, just using your ZModeler tool set, because why not? It's not rocket science. If I can do it, y'all, you can do it. Let's turn, oops, got to remember our dynamic. I don't know, some sort of arm here kind of stuck in there. Then this one has polygroup, so I can just control tap this one, go back up here to the wrist, and again reset this so I can kind of rotate this hand out just a little bit here. And, you know, spend some time on the posing. You know, you want to get a nice gnarly witchy hand, you know, going through here and making sure that, you know, you're getting a nice finger pose or whatever. But again, or you can go back into scan data and, you know, grab a realistic hand, depends on how much time you want to put into it. Sculpting, but it's up to you. So now, and then the other hand too, you know, we can go back to our female here because it looked like a female arm. And we'll say grab. if we want to, we can say reconstruct back if we want to like get a little cleaner edge loop. Again, we can use our quick polygroup here to just tap on here with a larger volume. Say, okay, great. Let me steal this arm. Delete hidden. And then go back up to subdivision level 3. Turn off X symmetry. And let's go ahead and just capture the arm from this position here. Let's go back to our, our insert mesh brush. B, create insert mesh, append. So we're starting to build some body parts into here. So again, off the back here, there's like another arm. Can't really see very well, but somewhere back here, let's say split mass points. It's kind of rotated up. Yeah, somewhere in here is another arm sticking out. Something like that. I don't know. Oh, wait. Here it is. So from this angle, yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's somewhere out over here sticking out. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then from here on out, it's just sculpting. And we're up at 8 a.m. Or we're back at 8 a.m. But I'm going to give you, again, we were talking about ZBrush Masters. These people walk you through much better than I can. So I'm going to say copy link here, the Geo video, go check that out. And then Magdalena, we used her brushes. And she's got some really good stuff here. So we'll say copy link address. Check both them out. And then you basically just take this thing to final. If I end up taking this any further, I'll go through and, obviously post like I usually do. Any cool stuff. But that'll give you an idea of kind of where to start, how to add stuff to your things. Block out sound wave from Transformers. Is that what it was? Yes. Let me get that too. Yes, thank you. 2.5 hours. Boom. Check it out. Get you. Thank you so much. That's helpful. Couldn't find it. I'll say make sure I didn't miss anything here. Which is a video you mentioned you and Kiss. Well, that's very nice of them. That's a very good company. I'll take it. Autobot. Yeah, it is eventually going to be Monstro. We'll see how far I get. New Year, absolutely. I'm having a good New Year so far. Yeah, but absolutely the thing. John Carpenter, any Cronenberg stuff, the Substance, all that good stuff. Slime Bridge. Oh yeah, Slime Bridge. So before we leave, that's another good one here, especially for creature stuff, right? I don't use it a ton, but you can check out that video. I'll say copy link address here if you want to check out that. But essentially, if I remember correctly, it would be something like if I wanted to, let's take this one here, again, shift bent down arrow, alt tap, shift bent down arrow. I want to merge these together and then Dynamesh. And then I want to say mask here with our mask pin. So if I want to bridge here to here, this might be a little heavy, but let's see. Geometry slime bridge. Yeah. So this one, let me see, tension all the way up so it's nice and straight, and then bridges down, branches down, capillaries down. There we go. It'll kind of stick those together. Another one of those that I did, and again, if you want how-tos on how to make all this stuff, I'll link you to my ArtStation. But this one here, this has some, this wasn't actually slime bridge, but same kind of idea. You can use Z-spheres or just geometry and just pulling those down. And then this too, this little, I think that was actually, and actually any spit, like any creature spit, slime bridge is good for that stuff too. But, and it also gives you a little polygroup, so you can go through here and you can isolate and, you know, do what you need to with these things. So for example, remember Control-Shift-Q is polygroup grow all, and then we can go through here and inflate along here. I'm working at a very large scale, so we might have to inflate a bit, but yeah, so that's an easy way to kind of go through and make some quick slimy, bridgy stuff. Anyways, thanks everybody. Like I said, I'll post on my channel if I take this thing any further, and I don't know, we'll go from there. Thanks, y'all. Have a nice day, and catch you on the flip side.